Hi, I'm Pavan Duggal, President Cyberlaws.net, Advocate Supreme Court of India, and the Chairman of the International Commission on Cybersecurity Law. When I look back at history and my life, I quickly realize one thing, that as a professional, as a person, you have no control of how things and events evolve. I began my life, I did my schooling, then did my college from St. Stephen's College, and then did my law from Faculty of Law, University of Delhi. And I became a normal civil and corporate lawyer. I was happy doing that. But it was early 90s that I got some clients that were connected to the technology sector and in the software industry. So that's for the first time that I, as a person, started getting interested in technology and IT per se. And mind you, that too from a person like me who doesn't have a technical background. I'm a history student all throughout, and I started getting interested in this IT business. And then internet got commercially introduced in the country in 1995. I got introduced to the internet, and for the first few months it was madness. Those days the speeds were very slow. But, this kind of a thing we hadn't seen in our life. So we were absolutely overwhelmed by it. But after a few months of madness, when I started looking at the internet, I quickly realized that this is one paradigm that's going to have large number of legal, policy and regulatory issues. And let's start concentrating in this space. Well, initially, I found that I did not have any support. There was nobody around who could even understand what I was talking. So I said, okay, let's look outside India. So I started looking at outside India, started working with international organizations like ICANN, like United Nations bodies. And slowly we found that the traction started coming on. Meanwhile, the United Nations General Assembly actually encouraged all UN members to come up with laws for promoting e-commerce. And that started a big thrust. So India also started moving along. And India came up with an IT bill of 1999. I was interested in this space because of my work, my interest, and then I started working on that bill, started advising the government, the ministry, and the parliamentarians on what should or should not be an integral part of the said bill. Finally, the IT Act got passed in a great amount of hurry in the year 2000, and this was the space that I was already working on. Meanwhile, prior to 2000, disputes had already begun, and more so they had relating to domain names. So I started doing a lot of work in that space. Then I became an arbitrator or a mediator at the World Intellectual Property Organization Mediation and Arbitration Center at Geneva, and did various domain name and disputes as an arbitrator. And then I started working in this space. Initially it was only cyber law, and then I quickly realized that the field is growing. So started working as we are, as the work came. So I was the counsel for the first cybercrime conviction in India way back in 2003. I was also the counsel for India's first matter pertaining to be suing unknown people or John Doe people in the context of information technology in India. And then began a big journey, a journey where I was constantly learning about how this new evolving jurisprudence is going to pan up. Meanwhile, was regularly doing my practice. So as more and more people came to know that this was the kind of work that I was doing and I was specializing in, I started getting more and more of this kind of work per se. Meanwhile, I wrote various books in the last 17 years. I've written more than 79 books on various facets of cyber law as an evolving discipline. I go and teach regularly at the National Judicial Academy in Bhopal and the National Police Academy in Hyderabad. I regularly advise the government and the ministries on various issues pertaining to cyber law, electronic governance, and the intersection of law and technology. Internationally, of course, I've been extensively involved in various international organizations, including United Nations organizations like UNESCO and ITU. And I've also had this opportunity of being also associated with organizations like Interpol. I have done some extensive talking. I speak at various conferences. So I've spoken at more than 1,500 conferences in the last decade and a half. And more significantly, I've realized that this is one space where you have to constantly keep on updating yourself. So I've been writing columns. I wrote this column called Briefcases in the Economic Times, which ran for almost 8 odd years. I regularly write in newspapers, on international journals, magazines, websites. I interact with stakeholders. I see how things are evolving. So it's a very, very interesting phase. Meanwhile, I also started doing some conferences. So I'm right now the conference director of a big international conference that's organized every year, known as the International Conference on Cyberlaw, Cybercrime, and Cybersecurity. Well, I've been associated with various cyberspace-related initiatives. We founded the India Cybercrime Center. I'm right now the chairman of the International Commission on Cybersecurity Law. So a lot of new things are happening. In addition, I'm also now beginning to see new technologies evolving. So we are now looking at some cutting-edge areas of technology and how it's going to evolve in terms of legal policy and regulatory issues. So it's been a very interesting journey. It looks very nice and glamorous from the outside, but trust me, it's taken a lot of time, a lot of effort and energy, because this is one discipline that never allows you to stay put at one place. You can never say, I have read cyber law and I'm done. Sorry. This is one discipline that constantly keeps on challenging you each passing day. But it's been a very enjoyable journey, but it's only a journey in motion. Things are constantly evolving. Today in 2017, if I was to tell you that we were supposed to write a book on cyber law by 2025 at a global level, and if the book was to be of 100 pages, then today in 2017, maybe we have only written about 7 to 8 odd pages. More than 90 pages have yet to be written. That's the immense focus, the immense potential of cyber law as a discipline. I always consider myself to be a student of cyber law. I constantly keep on learning from people, from stakeholders, from thought leaders, from the industry, from academicians, and from various practitioners as well. But this is a fascinating space, and it'll be interesting to see how this evolving journey of cyber law as a jurisprudence continues to develop with each passing day. Thank you.